All right, we are recording. Patana, Joanna, Viviana, and KK, thank you for being here. I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. A tab. Entire screen. Here we go. So before we... Okay, hold on. All right, can you guys see my screen? Yeah? All right, good to see everybody. So the lesson we are doing today is titled Word Detectives, using words in a sentence to discover other new words. But before we begin, I'm going to hand around this little thing called a badge. And today I'm going to make you honorary word police. Does anyone have any idea why we would want to be word police when we're trying to discover new words? Does that make sense to anyone? Why you would want to be a word police? What police do in their jobs? Can anyone take a guess?
They find bad people.
Police do find bad people, but the key word there is they find and they discover, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Patano, what else do police do when they're trying to solve a mystery? What do they have to use to solve a mystery?
They look for clues.
They look for clues. And for them to have a clue, they need to know about something, right?
Yes.
So Viviana, if someone went into a building, they might try to find footprints of that person, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Or Joanna, if a person went into a bank to take money, the police might look for a video of the person's face, right?
Yes.
So what we need to do as readers when we're reading material and we don't know a new word is, we have to try to discover with the evidence that we have that we know. So later today, guys, I'm gonna hand around a packet for Earth Science, and it's gonna be called Understanding Natural Disasters and Our World, Vocabulary Detectives. That's you and me. And the words that we're gonna be reading for in that lesson are gonna be science words like whirling, damage, fault line, shaking, moisture, and ocean. And you guys might have seen these words before, but maybe if I asked you to define exactly what they meant, it would be a little bit fuzzy in your mind. But what I'm trying to teach you guys today is, if you take the words and the concepts and the phrases you already know in your mind, and you come up on a word that maybe is a little fuzzy, or you need to kind of stretch your brain a little bit to get, by using the words around the mystery word can help you discover the meaning of that word. So even though you don't know the word right now, you kind of do know it, and you can clarify the word in your brain by using the words around that word. So to get started, we're going to do a reading about a lot of people's favorite holiday. Can I get a thumbs up if you guys enjoy celebrating Halloween? I do. Viviana, have you ever celebrated Halloween?
Yeah, I have.
What have you dressed up as? What was your funniest or scariest costume?
1 year I dressed up as a pirate.
Ooh, did your parents make the costume, or did you guys buy the costume?
We bought a costume.
Got it. Back when I was a kid, my parents didn't have a lot of money, so my mom made all my costumes, and they were a little funny. They weren't really scary. But anyway, here we go. We're going to read about Halloween, and I have underlined words. And I want you guys using the information around the underlined words to try to figure out what they might mean. So first, I want to read the whole passage together once, and then, being word police or word detectives, we're going to go through the text one more time and try to figure out those hard mystery words, okay? So here I'm going to share my screen and let's begin. I'm going to have you guys read, if you don't mind. Patana, could you read the first paragraph where it says, I just want to let you know what the standard is that we're going to be doing today. We're going to be using sentence level text as a clue to the meaning of a word or phrase. And real quick, the goal, introducing the reading strategy of using sentence level text as a clue to the meaning of word or phrase. Students will be able to identify sentence-based context clues to aid them in identifying new vocabulary words. Those are my learning objective standards that I want you guys to focus on today. Okay, I think I said Patana. Can you start where it says Halloween?
Yes. Halloween is celebrated each year in the United States on October 31st. And many children say that Halloween is their favorite holiday. Dressing up in costumes, eating candy, walking in school Halloween parades, these are the things people talk about when you bring up the yearly autumn season holiday.
Okay, so before we go on, we see our first two mystery words, favorite and autumn. Thumbs up if you guys have seen, if those words look familiar to you. 2 thumbs up if they both do, 1 thumb up if one does and one doesn't. What do we got? Autumn and favorite. Okay. So 1 maybe and 1 yes. Awesome. Thank you. Could I have KK? Could you read the second paragraph where it says the popular?
The popular holiday that is celebrated in America got its start over 1,000 years ago when the weather gets cooler after summer and crops begin to go rotten and dies on their trees or in farmers' fields. People used to think that spirits and ghosts were to be blamed. So each year, the
Celtic people
of Northern Europe began to dress up in costumes to scare away bad spirits that brought cold weather and starvation, which was very hard for people to handle when food became hard to find.
Okay, so our second words there are rotten and starvation. Double thumbs up if you've heard of those both. Thumbs down if you've heard of neither, or mixed if you've heard one and not the other. Let me see your thumbs. Let's see. Because those are not easy words. Okay, some of you might have heard of rotten, but starvation is kind of a scary word, and I don't expect a lot of my 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds to know that. So, okay, good for me to know. So did anyone here know that Halloween goes back over 1,000 years? I thought that was pretty interesting when I did my research. Does anyone know what it means to do research? What does that mean? Anyone?
To investigate something?
To investigate, kind of like being a word detective, right? We're investigating other words around our mystery words. Okay. Next line. Could I have KK read where it says in America?
In America, very few people think about spirits or vegetables rotting in fields when they think of Halloween. Instead, kids think about going door to door in their neighborhoods and asking people who live near their homes for candy. Kids often fill whole bags full and have enough candy to eat for weeks. People dress up in costumes, some silly, some funny, and some scary, and they enjoy a night of make-believe. Kids often yell trick or treat, and people hand them candy to eat, which is far from starvation.
Ooh, there's a word we see again from another paragraph. We might be able to use that context clue to better understand the word used somewhere else in the writing. All right, last but not least, could I have, who hasn't read? Joanna, could you read where it says around Halloween?
Okay. Around Halloween, another tradition is when people buy pumpkins, which are vegetables. People carve faces in their pumpkins and put lit candles inside the carved out pumpkin at night, and the candles glow in the darkness. People who live away from cities, in the country or suburbs, visit farms, and kids run through cornfield mazes and ride on tractors. These country-style traditions are connected to the Celtic culture's farming traditions, where Halloween began so long ago.
All right. So what did you guys think of that that writing? What type of what do we think the purpose of that writing was? If we're trying to understand the context for why that author wrote about Halloween, what was the author trying to tell us about? Was he trying to entertain us? Were they trying to inform us? Were they trying to make us question something? Can anyone volunteer what the author's purpose was of this text? KK, do you have a clue?
To tell us about Halloween.
So you believe this was informational text? You are correct. So please pick up your badge and proudly show it to your other classmates because you are a practicing word detective. Patana, you're next. Get ready to get your badge. Okay. Can someone please, as far as like where, based on what we read, and we're going to go through the text again, based on where the Celtic traditions came from, did these things happen in cities or did they happen in the country? What was the vibe of where Halloween comes from? Can anyone volunteer what they heard in the text, Joanna?
I think it was cities or suburbs.
So people go trick-or-treating all over the place, but where does Halloween's traditions come from over 1,000 years ago? Were those cities or rural farms and country?
Farms.
Farms. And one of the words in our text that's underlined has to do with farms, and they say that it's far away from cities. So that's an example of a contextual clue where if you know what a city is and you don't necessarily know what a farm is, but it's the opposite of what you know. So these are the types of tricks we need to use in our brain to understand new words and to use context clues to help us and our brain kind of fit in information that isn't real tight to make it really sound in our minds. Okay, so the first person I want to work with, and everybody's going to get a shot. We have 4 paragraphs and 4 people. Patana, let's go back to the first paragraph and let's start going through the first paragraph. Can you read it one more time and stop when you come to the first underlined word?
Yes. Halloween is celebrated each year in the United States on October 31st, and many children say that Halloween is their favorite holiday.
Okay, so based on what you just read, that first long sentence, do we have enough information to know if the word favorite is a good, bad, or indifferent type of word, or do we need to keep reading?
I think we have enough information.
Ooh, I don't know if I agree, but what do you think? Tell me what you think. What do you think? How do you know what the word favorite means? If that's a positive, negative, or neutral word?
I think it's a good word because celebrated is a celebration and it's positive.
Ooh, you came up with something that I wasn't even thinking of. So you're a double word investigator today. Thank you so much. The word celebrated, you already knew means positive or good. So favorite means good. And favorite in this case means very good. Thank you very, very, very much. So can you keep reading where it says dressing up in costumes?
Yes. Dressing up in costumes, eating candy, walking in school Halloween parades. These are the things people talk about. When you bring up the yearly autumn season holiday.
So the word autumn is let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the word autumn? That's kind of like a grown-up word. Is that a word you know?
No.
Okay, so autumn is a grown-up way to say another season that you and I definitely know. But I don't think there is enough information yet, unless you know what season October 31st would fall in. Do you know what season October 31st is in?
I think it's fall.
The fall, absolutely. So because you know the calendar and the way the seasons fit in the calendar, you know that autumn is in the fall season. It's just another way to say fall that's a little bit more formal and things you might hear grown-ups say. But if you feel comfortable saying fall, go for it, okay? Thank you so much. You just kicked major butt. The next person I'm going to ask to help me is going to be Viviana. And Viviana, could you help me with the second paragraph where it says the popular holiday?
Yes. The popular holiday that is celebrated in America got its start over 1,000 years ago.
Okay.
The weather gets cooler after summer, and crops begin to go rotten and die on their trees or in farmers' field.
So let me ask you hold on one second. So the word is rotten, and I'm going to give you a clue that rotten can mean a couple different things. But are you familiar with what rotten means? Or should we keep reading to help you better understand?
I think we should keep reading because I never heard of the word.
Let's keep reading, because in this passage, if you keep reading, the way the author writes is informative and is going to illuminate the meaning of rotten for you. So please keep reading. And crops begin to go rotten. And okay, keep reading where it says and
die on their trees or in farmers' field. People used to think that the spirits and ghosts were to blame.
Okay, so let's underline after the word rotten. What words do you think are good to underline in this one? Do you think that one? To die?
Yeah, I think die.
Die on their trees or in farmers' fields? Do you think that would help you understand what the word rotten might be?
Yes, I think rotten means something bad because the word that we underline, die on the trees.
Die on the trees. When that happens, is the food good or does the food go bad?
It's bad.
Absolutely. So when food goes bad, Viviana, you have figured out on your own what the word rotten means by using contextual references in the words around. So you are doing amazing. Can you continue where it says so each year?
So each year the
Celtic people,
the Celtic people of Northern Europe begin to dress up in costumes to scare away bad spirits. That brought cold weather and starvation, which was very hard for people to handle when food became hard to find.
Okay, so this is a very hard word, and I don't anticipate that anyone should know what starvation means. Can I get a thumbs up if you do, thumbs down if you don't, for the word starvation? Because before I was like 14 years old, I didn't. Okay, so before we look at the words around it, Viviana, if I said the word starve, like I'm starving, if you break the word down smaller, does that word ring a bell?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. All right, so if that rings a bell, I want you to hold on to that thought. Now we're going to go back to the text. After it says starvation, can you read one more time where it says which to the end of the sentence?
Which was very hard for people to handle when food became hard to find.
When food became hard to find, is that related to the word starving that you know when you said like, I'm starving, I need dinner? Is that similar?
Yes.
Okay. So remember, when you see a word, you might know a part of the word, and then you need to look to the words ahead of the word and behind the word to try to fill in the blanks of what you maybe don't know, okay? So what do you think starvation means now that you've read the words and you've looked at the word?
That people didn't have enough food to eat.
Absolutely. When you are starving, you are experiencing starvation. And when people experience that for a long time, they come to a point where they have to scare away ghosts that they believe are making themselves being starving, right? So that's the roots of Halloween. That's where it comes from. All right. All right. So Viviana read, Patana read. KK, can you read the next paragraph for our words? Where it says in America.
In America, very few people think about spirits or vegetables rotting in fields when they think of Halloween. Instead, kids think about going door to door in their neighborhoods and asking people who live near their homes for candy.
All right. So the word highlighted is neighborhoods. Thumbs up. Do we know the word neighborhoods? Thumbs down, maybe, kinda, neighborhood.
Maybe.
Let me ask, okay, so KK, what do you think, before we go to the text, before you get your badge out to be your word detective, what do you think neighborhood means? Take a guess.
People that live around us.
Ooh, let's read the text and see if the text agrees with your investigation, okay? Read it one more time, starting with kids.
Kids think about going door to door in their neighborhoods and asking people who live near their homes for candy.
So people who live near their homes, you believe that is what? You believe that's neighborhood? So a neighborhood has to do with where someone lives, right? And for trick or treating, you go around where you live to people who you know traditionally. But in America, sometimes people go to strangers' houses. It happens. All right. So I think that leaves Joanna with the last paragraph, right? All right, cool. Let's do this. We're almost done. Can you read, Joanna, where it says around Halloween?
Around Halloween, another tradition is when people buy pumpkins, which are vegetables. People carve faces in their pumpkins and put lit candles inside the carved out pumpkins at night, and the candles glow in the dark.
All right, hold on right second. I wanted to do a little bit of a surprise word investigation. Does anyone know the word for what a lit up pumpkin at night is called? Does anyone know? It starts with a J. Do I have any true word detectives who know that magical Halloween word? Anyone? Jacko?
Lantern.
Jack-o'-lantern. That's it. That's it. You knew it in your brain, and when you read the words, it painted the image, and bam, right? Jack-o'-lantern. Okay, so we're almost done. Joanna, let's go back to the text. People carve faces in the darkness. Okay, can you read where it says people who live far away?
People who live away from cities, in the country or suburbs, visit farms, and kids run through cornfield mazes and ride on tractors.
So the word is farms, and I'm sure you guys have heard of farms, and I know you guys go to school here in New York City. Is New York City a farm? Do we have farms in New York City? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Yeah, not a lot of farm. We have parks in New York City, but we don't have farms. What are they? What are made on farms? What do we get from farms without reading the text? What do you guys know? Huh?
We see cows.
We see cows, absolutely. So we get meat from farms, or pigs, or donkeys, or lamb.
Or chickens.
But what about pumpkins and things that grow? Do things grow at farms too?
Yes.
So are farms not in a city? What type of community, where would we find a farm? A suburb, a city, or where?
Oh, like the text said, the suburbs.
Our farms are a little bit further out than the suburbs. So there's the cities are the buildings. The suburbs, you still have streets and sidewalks. And then farms, you don't even have sidewalks, and sometimes you don't even have regular roads. You have gravel roads, right, where there's lots of dust. Is that the country or is that the suburb? Is it the country or the suburb or the city where a farm is? What do we think?
Country.
The country. Absolutely. And if we go to the text, we see that kids run through cornfields and they ride tractors. And those are things that we do in the country. And that is where these cultural traditions started over 1,000 years ago. And I am so happy that all of you have truly lived up to your word detective reputations by looking at the text around the words that maybe is a little confusing and figuring out the contextual clues to fill in the blanks. So you are ready to start the assignment. I am going to have 3 different stations. I'm going to separate you guys in groups. One group is going to go over and watch the video and fill out the text for tornadoes. One group is going to check it out for earthquakes, and the other one is going to do it for hurricanes. And this is what the document looks like that I'm going to hand you in class. And in the reading, you are going to use contextual clues to help you identify new vocabulary. And after you guys are done trying to do your best, we're going to come back as a class, and we are going to see who did their best and who figured out the meaning of words that are a little bit difficult for second graders. So thank you for participating in my mini lesson and earning your badges. And you guys did so amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Oh my God, I went 27 minutes. I'm so sorry. Did someone say 10?
I think Viviana did. She tried
Oh my God, I'm sorry.